with this week's episode of the Midweek Howl, the non-paranormal part of the From the Shadows podcast. I got to say that because especially this week, we had a huge number of new listeners last week from our paranormal podcast. They might be joining in on this one going, hey, what paranormal stuff are they going to talk about?
Really? Your numbers jumped that much, or they just went back to normal?
No,
Hey, don't say anything. You're live. Don't say anything.
On YouTube, they had a big spike. YouTube was actually promoting an episode we had about a dogman sighting here in Ohio, who the guy who I interviewed, man, his son is in the Marines. This guy's armed to the teeth. I'll have to send you some of the pictures of some of the weapons he had, and he showed me did like a little
worried about the dogman, or what's he worried about?
Well, yeah, it was a dogman story. He's a pretty good dude. He was in the medical field, pretty smart guy, and he had a couple episodes back, I don't know, 20 years ago, and something happened then recently to his current girlfriend. And so he just came on, tell a story to see, and it's an area pretty close to us. But man, he showed me, I told him, I said, man, the Howler would love to have seen this. He did like a little, after the episode, took me around his house a little bit. He has a showcase full of custom made hunting knives.
Really?
And it was, and I'm not a knife guy, but I'm not like a weapons guy. You would have been impressed. You would have appreciated what he had to show me, because I just am unable to. I appreciate the collection. I just don't know anything about weaponry, to be a good audience for that. But he had some impressive firearms and stuff. And I thought, man, you'd have really dug it. You guys could have talked shop, So, but that being said, there's a ton of listeners. YouTube promoted that episode for some reason, and it just went crazy. We got a ton of new subscribers on YouTube. So if they listen, I don't want them tuning in thinking you and I are going to be talking about the dog man, because I get another.
I'm a dog man.
You're a dog man. You're a dog. Man. You love dogs. You love dogs.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But I saw this news story, and as soon as I saw it, I thought of you. I wanted to ask you a question. But did you see the news story? The woman that was arrested after police found $2,500 worth of the Stanley cups in her car.
Mm-hmm.
Did you see that?
I did, and I just shook my head.
So, so those are the stuff that our parents so plainly took back and forth to work because they were just a piece of utility for.
Well, the difference between our parents and grandparents, they bought one and had it for 40 years. They didn't fill it full of stickers and then buy a different one because, you know what I mean? It wasn't their grip and drip to walk around. You know what I mean?
Exactly. So, I think that's just probably one of the dumbest things I've ever seen anybody steal. But in your storied career in law enforcement, what were some of the dumbest things that anybody got busted for stealing that you can remember?
I've told this story about the dudes that stole all the stuff from the state, didn't I? The cleaning people.
No.
Dude, I know I've told this story.
I don't recall a story about cleaning. So, like the people that cleaned the.
So let me read. Let me set the story up. And okay. And I have mixed emotions about telling the story I normally tell.
Okay. Why is that?
Because I was telling this story at my grandma's 94th birthday last year. And her brother, so this would be like my dad's uncle, my great uncle, who's in his late 80s, early 90s, said, well, hell, that's your grandma's brother-in-law. And I said, do what? And I said, see, my grandma is one of 6, but my grandpa was one of 11 that lived, 11 or 12 that lived.
11 or 12 that lived.
Yes, that lived. Yeah, back in those days, you know what I'm saying.
Yeah. Okay.
So he says, well, yeah, so-and-so's sister, one of the girls. So there was like 5 boys and 7 girls. And I know all the boys because it's easy to remember. But the girls, obviously, they were old women. I mean, they were in their 50s by the time I was. Some of them were the oldest ones were in their 40s when I was born. You know what I mean? So like my grandpa's age, my grandpa's little sisters and stuff were in their 30s and 40s. So they had all been married. So, they have different names, so when you're a kid, it's hard to
figure out where they go.
Stay in charge of all this.
Yeah. Who belongs to who?
Normally I set the story up by talking about this trailer park. It was when I was it's gone now. But when I was a first deputy back in the early 90s, it was a notorious, I think me and you talked about it. It was a notorious trailer park south of Jeff City there. It was just, it had seen its better days had passed. Okay. So it was just poor, trashy people that was there by the time, criminals. And what I did not realize is the old man, he was an old man. So in 92, 93, when I started sheriff's office, the old man that owned it was still who was my grandpa's, who's the crazy old man that owned it, was married to my grandpa's sister. But I did not know that at the time. Does that make sense?
Okay.
Because by this time she had passed.
Okay.
And I was just told this last year. So normally when I tell a story, I tell it with a lot more vigor to talk about what dumb son of bitches these people are. But then I realized I'm related to them. So I'm trying to scale it back a little bit. You know what I mean? Because I've got some family members to listen.
Well, look, man, it's part of your family history, right? Embrace it.
It was
right?
a trailer park south of Jesse called McCubbin's Trailer Park.
And we've talked about
right. I knew you knew it. So the sheriff called me in one day and said, hey, they called me on the radio and say, hey, maybe it was on the phone because it's hard for me to remember because I was in the early 90s, the bag phone days, right? So they would call you on the phone because that's back when everybody and their brother could scan all the frequencies. Remember, everybody'd scan stuff.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So when they had sensitive stuff or they had something, these little, $7 an hour dispatchers thought was cool, they would call you on the phone or, you know what I mean, tell you to call the office or whatever. So I called in, they said, the sheriff, you got to come up here to the sheriff, meet the sheriff. And so I drive in the office and the sheriff's in there with a couple of Capitol police officers they work the Capitol buildings and state property. Okay. So he said, hey, would you bring these guys out to McCubbin's trailer park? So technically their jurisdiction stops. It's only good for, it's very restricted right around some state buildings and stuff. So, but they wanted to go out and talk to a guy that they thought was stealing some stuff at this trailer park. So I said, yeah, let's mount up, let's roll. So they followed me out there, and that was my bailiwick. And this was the mid-90s, early 90s. Bill Clinton had passed the omnibus. He had signed the omnibus at that time, a crime bill where they put what's called community policing. You remember the community police officer or anything like that?
Vaguely, I remember.
Anyway, so basically, what they were wanting to do is they were wanting to embed the law enforcement with the local people to get a better feel of the problems or issues they were having and try to get to the root cause of crime and stuff in these positions. So all that's to say is this: you were, I don't want to say forced, but it was just a totally different mentality on law enforcement where you really were embedded with the people. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So I rolled up in this trailer park with these cops behind me, and I drive straight to the trailer. Of course, it's one of those deals when you roll in, they would like pigeons around a potato chip. And I hate to always use that analogy, but the locals that are not in trouble will come out just to see what the hell's going on. Now, this was before internet and cable TV was free, so they didn't have nothing else to do. You know what I mean? So they immediately start, hollering at me because I've had to go to some of these meetings. I've had to go to some like city council meetings and local commission meetings and meetings where these people they get to essentially voice their opinions on how to make the world a better place. Right.
And the people from McCubbin's Trailer Park.
Yeah, they have a world too, and I'm incumbent upon local law enforcement, to make their world good too, right? They're not any more or less citizens than the average person.
There you go.
You know, so yeah. So I'm familiar with them. So they run out there and they say, "Hey, who you looking for?" And I said, "Well, I'm looking for so and so. He's in that trailer right over there. That's where he lives." So I roll up in this trailer. Cops behind me, and it was winter time, but not crazy winter. Pretty chilly, but not. You know, it was cold enough. They had some mechanical issues, and I don't remember either the furnace didn't work. They had the freaking oven, a propane oven on high, like 450, with the oven door open to heat this old trailer house.
Hey, listen, having my furnace go out last week, I can relate. You know what I'm saying? Okay.
But I do not remember why. They obviously had propane. Maybe they didn't have electricity. But I get in there, it's a den of rats, and there's about 11. I used to remember because one of the guys, the cops that was witnessed this whole deal, the one that said you can't do that, still talks about it. And so there was either 11 or 13 different people in this trailer house.
In one trailer?
And I'm not talking like these palatial double wides on concrete now and all this other shit. I'm talking 1974 Urban Cowboy 12 by 48 or something, 10 by 48, right? Wood grain. And they got so much junk in there, and they've got, as we walk, I knock on the door, "Hey, so-and-so here." I don't know, maybe, you know, and I get my way in, and I don't remember if I forced, because I could be pretty forceful back in them days. But we all me and the two cops end up in that place, right? And I'm talking to Johnny or Jimmy or whatever, this guy, the dude that they want to talk to is at the end of the hall. And it takes me about 10 people to get through to him. You know, like he had all these gatekeepers. I don't know if he's here. I don't know if he's there. And as I'm going, I noticed all this brand new stuff. Remember Dillard's? You all got Dillard's out there, right?
Yeah.
There's all this brand new clothes and shit. So this trailer's got, you know how it is. It's got a kitchen and living room when you walk in. It's got one hallway. It's got a little bedroom, got a bathroom, mechanical closet type deal, and then another bedroom at the end. That's all there is. There's nothing else to this thing. And there's literally trash bags of brand new clothes and shoes and Dillard's and JCPenney's and Famous Footwear, and there's just brand new shit everywhere with tags on it. So I get down the end, and as I'm going, they had these little fake wooden shelves that had VHS tapes and cassette tapes. Remember the old thing you'd get that'd stack like it was wood grain, but it was plastic.
Oh, yes.
Stacked like 35, 3 rows of 10 cassette tapes, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So I'm standing there trying to talk to these morons and weed my way through this whole mess. One of these tapes looks like something, so I pick it up, and it's got a yellow property tag on it. It's the state of Missouri, and it's like, remember, people that listen and never had government jobs don't realize all the bullshit training they make you do. Okay? And I forgot what kind of awareness training it was. This was a tape with that on it. You know what I mean? Like whatever it was. Okay? And they had put a piece of tape on the, remember the little ears on the top?
Yeah, so you could record over it.
Yeah, and in like a black pencil, it said, Led Zeppelin or whatever. I don't remember what it said. But the point was, it had a property tag that said, "State of Missouri, do not remove."
Okay.
And they're wanting to talk to this guy about stuff that's missing from an office building, a state office building, because he worked for the company that contracts cleaners that come in after hours and clean these buildings.
Okay.
And I don't remember how they chose him. But before it's all said and done, I've got all 11, 12, 13 of them gathered in there like disciples, and I'm at the pew, the altar of truth, and I read them all their rights at the same time. And that's what the old cop said, "Dude, I don't think you can do that. I think it's an individual thing." And I said, "Oh, no. They know." They know what's going on. You got 11. Every one of them's been freaking jail at least twice. I said, gather around here so you can all hear this. You had the right. So I read them all their rights, and I told them I wanted all the stolen shit that they had right now, or they were all going to jail. And I got like 15 or 18 black trash bags. I mean, there was a couple of them just stepped out of their shoes. A couple of guys just stepped out of their shoes. You know? So
they were wearing stolen shoes.
Yeah, because and what they would do, and they were in the infancy, you know, that's what I think the rural Americans, especially the rural Missourians, they're sharp, and they're a decade or generation before that they would flash mob. They would all walk in the Dillards, where they could, you know, you like 10 of them walk in the store at once. They can't all be watched at once, and they would just try stuff on, put stuff on, whatever they needed to do, right?
Yeah.
And that's part of the problem is a lot of the stuff that they had new, it didn't fit anybody. So that some of them, they just stealing shit and it didn't even fit anybody.
we got this small t-shirt.
T-shirt. So
size 5 men's tennis
this
shoes.
guy, so we talked to dude, and we tell the one guy, Jimmy or whatever his name is, Jimmy, you got to come down. We just want to talk to you. We just want to talk to you. So we get him down to jail, and I take us as we walk through booking. I said, hey, they want the booking desk wants to see your ID. We're going to take him to an interview room. You walk past this booking desk. The booking desk has to log everybody that comes in, cops, bad guys, lawyers, whoever. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So they said, who you got there? And I asked this dude his name, and I forgot what he said. I said, let me see your license. I'll hand it to him. As he's getting his license out, and he's a younger guy, he's got a wallet, and it's got that, remember them, the little clear plastic things where you put 15 pictures in, all your high school sweethearts or whatever, right?
Yeah.
So there is a wallet size picture of a girl that I know that I went to high school with in this dude's wallet.
Okay.
And when I say I knew her, I was in their wedding. She just recently got married, and this dude's got a picture of her. And I said, hey, what's this girl's name? And he made up a fictitious name.
Oh, so he had stolen the wallet.
He had stolen. Listen to this. So we get him in the interview room. The cops start talking to him, and they read him his rights again, and they fiddle dick around with him, because what happens is when you're dealing with sometimes with the lowest low, you've got to I don't want to say treat them as such, but you certainly got to treat them as such. You know what I mean? And so finally, at this point, I said, hey, Jimmy, just shut up. You're lying. How do you know I'm lying? Because your lips are moving, dude. Well, I haven't lied to you yet. And I said, bullshit, that's not you. I said, let me see your billfold again. He pulled out billfold. I said, let me see this picture. I said, what's her name? And he told me, and I said, bullshit, her name's such and such. Well, what do you mean? I said, dude, I went to fucking high school with her. I was in her goddamn wedding. And what had happened, so he comes clean and brings us and the cops back to the trailer park, where he's got this trove of stolen stuff from the state, and it was probably 100 VHS tapes and cassette tapes, some Motorola radios. Back to this picture, he had pictures in there when he's cleaning these office buildings. You know how when I say girls, I'm going to sound.
Oh my gosh!
These girls who work in the office have pictures of their family around their little cubicles and stuff, right? And he was just stealing. This is how fucking psycho he was. Excuse my language. He was stealing, like, all the girl pictures in his wallet were stolen from people he did not know, from people's cubicles at the office buildings. That makes sense? I don't even know how we got on this subject.
I thought the dumbest thing that he stole was the videotapes that told you how to behave.
He had 50 or 100 of them. I don't remember how many. He had so much stuff. Let me tell you how much stuff he had.
Okay.
He had so much stuff that when I put a case on him, and I had 15, 20 black trash bags full of stuff. The sheriff goes, what the hell, Kara come through there, what the hell is all that? And I said, it's all evidence from this thing out in McCubbins. And when you said McCubbins back in the day, they just knew it was going to be low rent. You know what I mean? Oh my God. And he just looked at me, he said, get that shit out of here, man. We ain't going to store all that. Call the prosecutor and see. So I called the prosecutor and I tell him, and they come down there just to look at all the stuff because they wanted to laugh at it. You know what I mean? And he pled guilty to some kind of misdemeanor stealing stuff, and nothing much, and all that clothes got thrown in the dumpster.
Really? It didn't even get returned?
Nope.
Oh, gosh.
Nope, because dealers and the stores didn't want them because they couldn't tell what was stolen or not. They didn't want nothing to do with it. They're loss prevention people. Nope. Oh
my gosh. Go ahead. Because I got, you just reminded me of one that happened to me. So I'll have to tell.
I'll tell you how low rent, and this segues just dumb stuff to get stolen. Okay. Or just dumb stuff. Me and a friend of mine named RP, let's just leave it at that. Me and RP got sent out there one night to McCubbins. Just tell you how Wild West this fucking place was. Dude had a 30-06 and was going to shoot another 30-06 over a car title. And one of them sold a car, Citation for $175. Chevette or Citation. I think it was a Citation. With the bigger one with the sideways radio. What was that, a Citation?
Oh, yeah.
Because the Chevette was the rinky-dink one, right? This was the bigger one. Hey, for $175, and I know I've told this story, and something was screwed up with the title. He couldn't get the title. Wouldn't give the guys $175 back. So he had his deer rifle, was going to shoot him. Basically get him an ultimatum. If you don't have my title in my car, or I'm $175 by the time I get off work tomorrow, I'm going to shoot you. So, and he meant it. So we go out there in the middle of this. RP's cars broke down. His patrol cars broke down. So we're riding together, right? So we're what's called two-man unit. You know what I mean? So when you're a two-man unit, sometimes, especially back then when there wasn't a whole lot of cops, you got all the hot calls because it was like sending two cops calls. Does that make sense?
Hutch? Like
yes, it was like Hutch? That. So, hey, we're standing there, and we had taken the 30-06 away from the guy, and we're getting statements at this just rundown trailer park. Okay, rundown trailer park, and they toned us out to an possible assault, domestic assault in progress, blah blah blah, in a real nice out in the country, in the county, but in a real nice neighborhood. So we tell these two, you guys, and they hear it come across our lapel mics, and they're like, "No shit, is that real?" And they instantly forget about killing each other over this car. You know what I mean? So I tell them, I say, "Hey, this is the deal. You got any more guns?" No. I said, "Well, you know what we're going to do? We're going to let you guys sleep on it tonight, and tomorrow we're going to come back out here and decide what's going on. We're going to keep the rifle for evidence, keep y'all from shooting the place up." I threw it in the trunk of my car in an evidence bag, and I said, "We're going to come back tomorrow," and because they were wanting to kiss and make up as soon as they realized that we were going to take them both to jail, and because it's Friday night in the hood and they don't want to go to jail.
Well, that's when it gets good, man, right? Friday night.
So we rolled out of there and went to this palatial. It's $1 million house now. Back then it was probably $400,000, but 30 years ago, $400,000 house was a freaking house.
Oh yeah.
Okay, and it was an orthodontist who was sitting in front of his TV. We pull in there, walk up, a Mercedes in the parking lot driveway. We walk up there and she goes, "Oh my God, I'm so glad you're here. Okay, what's going on, ma'am? Did he hurt you? Did he cut?" "No, he's in there. He's cussing and he just wants to watch the ball game." "Beg your pardon?"
What?
He's using profanity. I tried to get him to quit drinking. He comes home with he gets a 6-pack on the way home from work. Okay, where's he work? "Well, he's Dr. such and such, the orthodontist." "Okay, cool. We're gonna go talk to him." One of us talking to her, one was talking to him, and he's like, "Dude, this is the fucking deal. She had the baby, now she's fucking nuts. She threw all the liquor out of the house. She won't let me drink a beer after work. I've never touched her. I've never hit her. I told her all I wanted to do is watch the damn TV," because that was the cuss word. What did he say? He said he wanted to sit there and watch the damn TV. And she said, "I won't tolerate that kind of behavior in my house."
Oh my gosh.
So this was surreal. So we just looked at this guy and we said, "Hey, dude, we can't leave you here. It's a domestic. Can we take you somewhere?" He goes, "Can you really?" "Fuck yeah, take me. Get me out of this place." So we tell her, "Hey, he's got to go." She goes, "He's not going anywhere." And I said, no, we can't leave him. You know, Missouri's got domestic abuse laws. You know, we can't leave him here. We're going to have to take him. She goes, are you going to take him to jail? I said, no, he didn't break the law, you know, blah, blah, blah. She goes, well, he needs to keep his ass right here. And I said, no, we're taking him. She said, if you take him anywhere, he's just going to watch TV and drink beer. So they started calling us to some other call. We put him in the car, dropped him off at the Hilton, Capitol Plaza, which is the hotel, branded hotel here in town. Mm-hmm.
So he could go drink beer and watch TV.
Yeah, just probably went straight to the bar. Who knows? But our point was we were laughing as we were leaving, and he's like, man, I bought that house for her. You know, she's never worked a day in her life. Since the day we got married, she's never worked. And she's only like 28, 26, 28 or whatever, their first baby. And he said she's got 3 freaking cars. She got a Mercedes station wagon because she wanted a bigger car because whatever she had, and she had a Tahoe, was the hip thing back in them days. Remember when Tahoes first came out in the mid 90s? Oh, yeah, she got a Tahoe for the bad weather. She's got this, she got that, she got this. And he said, dude, you can't give her enough stuff to be happy. She wants to come home and beat me down all the time.
Do you suppose they're still married?
And I said, we just left a place where a guy was going to get shot for $175 over a Chevy Citation. So maybe if you could get I said, and I used to joke all the time, and this is going to lose me some losers, we should have a spousal retraining program where you just send them out to the trailer park for a week and they'll see how good they got it.
But did you hear? Do you suppose they're still married?
I don't know. Probably not. Why would you be?
Oh my gosh! But that
I don't even know how you got me on that. Oh, stupid stealing stuff. I seen stupid stealing stuff, stupid crap. I mean, I told you about arresting that poor guy for shooting the street lights out, right? The autistic guy.
Wasn't that the guy at the trailer park too?
No, it was he lived in a trailer house, but it wasn't a trailer park. It was down in Osage City.
What was he shooting?
He was mad at the kids.
That's right.
He was mad at the kids were riding in the summertime. He was mad at the kids were riding out on the street. So he shot the street lights out, thinking that they would quit riding their bikes in the street
because they couldn't see. Because
they couldn't see, and they just kept it up. When I got down there, they said, "Yeah, Crazy Mark, that was his name. I think he's dead now. He shot the lights out."
Crazy Mark.
That was right next door. Hey, his house was right. There was a town called Osage City, and it got flooded in the flood of '93, and it was a pretty destitute town before the flood. But the flood of '93 just really because the levee broke and it really demolished it, right? So the only few people that were left down there post flood were the hardest of the hard, or the people with no insurance. You know what I mean? One the same in some ways. And next door to his house, I told you about the guy that shot the 7 Sheltie dogs, didn't I?
Oh yeah.
The mass Sheltie killing. It was right next door.
Right next door to Crazy Mark.
Yeah. Well, and I asked him. It's funny, when I was doing the Sheltie case, I asked him if they heard the shots, and they did, but they were too scared to freaking call. So that's when you're in bad shit. I mean, even in the baddest of the hood, South Central LA, everybody calls 911, right? Okay. But you see a crazy dude put on a 7-dog shoot with a 30-30, and they will not raise their head out of the damn house for nothing.
Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of the From the Shadows podcast. Until next time, never shy away from the darkness or what may be lurking in the shadows. We are out.
God only knows what's hiding in